Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is My Purpose Part 6. I'm actually in the home today because it's chucking it down a rain outside and the quality wouldn't have been very good. So I do struggle to sit still, so apologies. I will give this my best shot without umming too much. Okay, just said it. So touching base back on Part 5, where my life started to change. My wife, Jo at the time, wanted to bring the relationship to an end. She had vacated the house and I was left with the house, with the mortgage as well. So starting off on Part 6, I moved out of the family home. It was just very hard to stay there with everything that had gone on, etc. So I went to stay with my cousin for about a month, and we were quite close at the time, so it was quite nice. He was looking out for me. Big shout out to Kev. So I stayed with him for a month. I then realised I really do need my own space, somewhere that I could bring Lewis to, my oldest boy, and you may well have seen some of my Urbex videos as well. So I rented a caravan, and I think it was on roughly round about Crowland Way, so it was very isolated, very alone, so it was in the middle of a field with about 8 other caravans and a massive water tower in the background. So I stayed there, I think it was initially 3 months, and it was quite tough because I'd gone from living with 2 other people, my son and at the time my wife, so now I'm back on my own. I feel like I'm at ground zero. So it was a very challenging time, but me and my cousin, we were both singles, so we basically said, right, we need to find somebody. Now ultimately it was just to have a little bit of fun, etc., but we went onto a website called completelyfreedating.com. So we're just browsing through. He had found a couple of girls that he was talking to. I, didn't find anything that first evening we went on a second and third time, and I started chatting to a girl that was from a different county, and we then decided to meet up on a date. So this was quite nerve-wracking. I'd been out of the dating game for a number of years. So this was pastures new. So fast forwarding, we'd arranged to go on a date. I'm travelling to the date location, and I didn't realise how far away it was. So me being totally useless at geography, this was 2 counties away, so this was approximately about 70 miles away, so quite a long way to go for a date anyway. So I turn up at the doorstep. She was living with a couple of married gay guys, and we went on this date. Was quite nervous. I was very nervous. She was very nervous, and we went somewhere to eat anyway, and we then decided to go on another date and a few more dates, and then we spent every weekend together because I was working predominantly Monday to Friday. So we spent the weekends that she was off together back in Peterborough in my old marital home. So basically I'd then left the caravan, went back to my old marital home, because I wasn't earning a lot of money, and my caravan back then was the same cost per month as my mortgage, so I didn't really see the point. So I tried to pay the mortgage, I tried to do everything by the book, but with all the utilities, it was just too much money. I couldn't sustain it at all. So I stopped paying the mortgage and I lived there approximately 6 months, rent free. So I was using this time to try and save a little bit of cash and also look after myself and just enjoy life, go out and eat and all the nice things that I struggled to do before, just to get myself really on the right track that I needed to be. So we then fell pregnant with our first baby. So we decided to go along with everything. And so as the pregnancy is progressing on, we're thinking, right, well, how are we going to navigate this? She's got no house. I've got the house that is my ex-marital home. So we decided the best option would be for her to move down here. So it got to roughly, I think it was about 7 months that she was pregnant at the time. Roughly about 7.5, nearly, 7.5 maximum anyway. So basically she moved down, and 2 weeks later she was getting as if she was going into labour. So she was getting contractions and everything, was feeling very, very poorly. So we decided to go to the hospital, and they basically was, quite dismissive in the fact, oh no, it's too early, you've still got 8 weeks or a bit more to go. So, they wasn't particularly worried, but something in my mind was like, something doesn't sit right with me. Something really, how can they be sure for a start? So we left it a few hours and then went home, went back again the next day because it was, it was just getting worse. So I then stood my ground and said, look, no, can we just wait somewhere in the hospital? And I'm so glad we did, because I think it was roughly 2 hours later, baby was coming, so she was starting to push. And with it being a prem baby, they tend to come very, very quickly. So this was her first baby, my second. So anyway, baby come, and it was like, my partner at the time, she stayed in hospital for, it must have been a couple of weeks or so. So I was rushed into NICU, which is neonatal intensive care. So she had to be in what's classed really as critical care. So in an incubator, breathing apparatus, etc. She was quite jaundiced as well, to be fair. I mean, at this point she was 8 weeks and a day early. So, very, very significant. And the time, I remember the doctor saying to us, I think it was 48 hours or so were crucial. Now, all of a sudden, as a parent, you get dread, going through your body, you get heart palpitations, you're thinking the worst, and it's hard not to think the worst. I know that she's in the best care, she's in the best place, but it's incredibly difficult. But I never forget where they had to give her sun phototherapy, I think it's called. I mean, anybody, if I've got that wrong, please just pop a comment in the box. But she had to lay there, and it was like sunbathing with these little tiny goggles on, and it just was so weird to watch. But anyway, the critical time came to an end, So she wasn't poorly, she was just born too soon, too early. So then she had to go into the other side of the neonatal unit, which she had to basically get to her what should have been just gestation date. A few friends of people, there was another lad who was, born with Down syndrome. We spoke to their parents. There was another couple that had twins, and they, obviously being twins, they were born too early, and one was, bigger than the other. And I think that's pretty much how things go when it becomes twins. So we'd made a few friends, and, they've gone on to have even more children. So, yeah, it was difficult, but I just thought, well, sod this. I'm going to, say to my boss, right, look, and I just walked out. I just thought, do you know what? I've got to put myself, my family first. So I need to be there for my partner at the time. I gave up my job, and I think roughly about 3 weeks later, I'm doing all this from memory. 3 weeks later, his daughter was able to go home. So this was a real triumphant moment. This was, a proud parent moment. So, it was just a sense of relief, to be honest with you. So we went out to eat on the first night, took our eldest daughter with us, and it was great. We remained in the house still, that I wasn't paying any mortgage or rent, and we redesigned what was my old marital master bedroom, into 2 separate rooms. So one blue wall, one pink wall, and that would be, for my oldest boy Lewis, and then my eldest daughter as well in that room. And we then migrated into what was Lewis's old room with the cot and the baby grow that I did explain in the last chapter. So yeah, this was a tiny room. Literally, if you imagine we're getting a double bed into a box room, you could literally touch either side of the room with your hands and your feet. It was very, very claustrophobic, but we did it for the children. So anyway, we then got a letter I did from the court explaining that, an eviction was imminent, so we had to vacate the property. So we did. We found another house that we rented together. So it was a new beginning, fresh start for everybody. But it was tricky. We went to another home which was roughly about the same money, but it was much bigger. It was a beautiful home, but some of the electrics were a bit dodge, so it wasn't the best in that sense. But we stayed there. I think it was about a year or so, something like that. Anyway, pregnant with our second baby, so my third child, but our second baby together. And there was only, a year holiday over to her old area and stay at her parents. So we did that for a couple of weeks. Then we needed to really think, right, are we staying or are we going back to Peterborough? But I'm going to bring part 6 to a close. As I say, I don't want to make these videos too long and boring. So this is, everything's happened so far in part 6 in my life. But as I say, if, has anyone had any similar experiences, then please do, get in touch. whether it be postnatal care or really finding things very, very difficult, because when you are a parent, you do feel as if you're alone. But yeah, just pop us a message. I'll be really happy to respond and help if I can be of any help. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.